Welcome to IlliniGuys Halftime Live. Mike Kegley, Kedrick Prince. This is quite the half here. Illinois had a lead at one point, was 31-15. Illinois was outscored 22-10, 41-37 at the half. Ked, and I will tell you, Jackson Kohler has 12 points and it really has looked like quite the player with the outside shot there, and has done quite well. And he's averaging 7.5 points a game, and all of a sudden looks like Superman.
Mike, it happens all the time. Someone is going to have a career night against Illinois. You know that. Look back to the last 3 or 4 games. Somebody's going to get hot, and tonight is Kohler. My concern is right now Illinois is not getting the 50-50 balls. They're breaks, balls, whatever you want to call them. They're just not getting those. Michigan State's a tough team. You had a 16-point lead. You allow them to go on a 13-0 run. That can't happen. The one thing that I thought Illinois did a tremendous job of early was valuing the basketball. They did not allow a lot of turnovers. You can't just turn the ball over late. When you turn the ball over late, or any point in the game, it gives them an opportunity to score. This is going to go down to the wire. Michigan State's going to battle the boards. They're going to do that. But you're right, to have a guy that averages 7 points a game, and I get it. I understand, he's not a good shooter, and he's one guy that's kept him in the game, along with Carr, who's 5 of 6 and has 10 points. But of those 5 field goals, I think they're all layups or dunks. But, Mike, they got a chance. They got to continue to be fighters, because Michigan State's going to be tough. They're not going to roll over. If Illinois makes a run again, Michigan State's going to have to try to answer. I just would somehow, if it was me, it would be Morez Johnson on Kohler. I mean, that would be my matchup. That'd be the guy, because I think they're trying to Rick House on him, and I don't think it's working.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I see is, I know Illinois had some turnovers there, and Illinois is out turnovering Michigan State 7-3, but Michigan State has 14 points off of those turnovers versus just 6 off of turnovers for Illinois. And in fairness, Michigan shut down the ability for Illinois to penetrate the ball. And Illinois then is more than content to settle for threes. They've got to find a way to get the ball inside, especially when Michigan State is hounding you on the outside. You've got to find a way to get the ball in, and Illinois was struggling. They need to make a couple of adjustments at the half to take care of that.
Michigan, one of the reasons they can't get the ball inside, I have to give Michigan State credit. That's part of it. They make it tough. They're going to defend. They're going to make it tough. I mean, there was one time Kylan Boswell went to the lane, and typically against an average team, that's a layup, but it was blocked. And if you look at right now, and everybody knows I've been a big, Tommy Visick fan. He has 4 points. He's 2 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, and he has 1 rebound.
Again, it's clear his ankle's bothering him tonight.
Against an athletic team like this, yes, because one, he got a shot blocked and he has no lift on his shot right now. They're going to have to be – he's got to be effective. And I also want to give major props to KJ and Morez Johnson. You talk about getting the team fired up when they came out. They were ready to go and they were ready to play. This is the team minus Ivica's ankle that people thought they were going to see. Now, what I've also noticed, the rotation has shrunk a lot. Drayvon Gibbs Lawhorn, he played 2 minutes, and we've not seen Trey White. So there's the benches, is not what it once was. And, I don't know I'm never going to say never with Coach Underwood, because last year Dane Danger didn't play. Then I think he's the reason they, won the first 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. So, but right now, this is a 3 or 4 point game, and Illinois is at home. I don't care about the officiating. I have no problem with this, so don't at me with that, because right now I think it's been great, other than that flop that they just called on Kylan Boswell. I think it's been a pretty well officiated game, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with that. The flop was kind of a joke. At the same time, there's certain players who are kind of famous for it, so you got to be careful when you're around them. I was disappointed to see Morez disappear for as long as he did. I thought he was playing quite well, and And so I guess ultimately, I also think Humrickhouse is playing a little better. But I will say that, Kohler's got some size on Humrickhouse. So they're going to have to figure that part of the game out. And the other part is you're going to have to work some movement to get the ball inside. And you're going to have to get the ball inside while being guarded very hard. Michigan is going to try to get turnovers out of the guards. They're going to put people in the face and play extremely aggressive. Can the Illini take advantage of that? Well, that's what they're going to have to do.
The most aggressive teams are the ones who traditionally get the calls with Illinois, and I'm just calling a spade a spade. Illinois is not the most aggressive physical team in the Big Ten. This is the total opposite of last year. Last year's team would get in your face and punch you. This team's more of a finesse team, and they're fun to watch because they can shoot it when they're shooting it and the passing with KJ. But last year's team had that Terrence Shannon animal in him, and he willed them to win. And so was Marcus Damascus and Coleman Hawkins because they've been around for a while. This team doesn't have that right now, and it's not going to change. There's not very many games left, so this is who they are. But to win this game today, they have to be on the boards. And Mike, you made a point about getting an emphasis of getting the ball inside. That's great, but you better score with it. And if you don't score or get an N1, you better knock down the free throws. To me, right now, I'm just thinking at halftime, I'm going right at Kohler and I'm getting him in foul trouble. He's the only guy to me that's a threat. And if he can't guard you on the perimeter. So who's ever guarding him, I will just get him on the block and I would either score or him or make him foul me because he's the only threat that they have.
Yeah, and my guess is, and this is a warning to both Michigan State and Illinois, Big Ten refs, they allowed a whopping 2 free throws that half. That tells me the second half we're going to have one of those crazy-ass halves where there's going to be fouls every 3 seconds. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. We can laugh at this tape, but, boy, the Big Ten refs tend to just kind of swing back and forth. But I thought they did a really good job in the first half. I wouldn't mind seeing a second half called similarly. But as you know, that generally when we see them call it a certain way like that, that's when you end up in a situation where you're like, oh, my God, the next half you're wondering if it's the same crew.
Well, I don't know if this is going to be an omen, and I hope it's not. Because tonight is Terrence Shannon's night, and I'm sure you know what I'm about to say. His jersey's being hung in the rafters, and it's upside down. So maybe that's not hopefully that's not going to be a bad sign for Illinois tonight. But having said that, I guess him being there, it's been good for him to be around the players and in the locker room because he's been a big inspiration to the kids and to this team. They're not kids, to this team, talking to the fellas and what they need to do to win and how they need to go out and to compete and what it's going to take for them to do what they think that they need to do or what they set at the beginning of the season.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things I think it's crazy because you've got a situation here where not only does Illinois have this game, but then they turn around and have to visit the Badgers up in Madison on Tuesday night. And as people know, they went into Mackey Arena and beat Purdue. And so that the game that as good as Michigan State's playing right now, one could easily argue that Wisconsin's playing even better. So it doesn't get easier for the Illini. That's why I was really hoping that 16-point lead could stay somewhere around 10 or 12 points at the half to make it a little easier. I think that run gave a lot of confidence to this Michigan State team. And I think that's something that Illinois is going to have to contend with in the second half is a team that maybe was a little bit wobbly and now feels like, you know what, we've taken the best the Illini can throw at us. Now it's our turn.
That could be true, but they're still down. And I will say this, I've only looked at Michigan State's and Illinois' schedule. Both of those two programs, their schedules are tough down the stretch. Throw Duke out the window. That's a pretty game or a Sunday game or whatever you want to call it. But it's nothing to me right now because they're in conference play. But right now, both of those programs, and I'll tell you, Wisconsin is doing what Wisconsin does. They're going out and they're getting better. To go to Purdue and win, I don't know the last time Illinois won at Purdue. I can't remember. I know it's been a while, but they silenced the crowd and they didn't back down. So Illinois is going to have their hands full when they go to Madison, because Illinois got them in Champaign at the right time. So you can't afford to lose this game at home. You just can't, because right now, these people are making assumptions, but Illinois is a 6 seed. They're better than that. They need to win these games, and if they can beat Michigan State and somehow sneak a win out against Wisconsin, they want to be around that 4 line, Mike, and they need to get away from the 6 seed.
Yeah, we would like to see that. That's one of Illinois historically has not done a good enough job earning the seeds year in and year out. I think as we look at the half, Illinois shot 53%. Michigan State shot 48%. Illinois out-rebounded the Spartans 18-14. Unfortunately, they out-turnovered the Spartans 7-3. Really, the points in the paint were pretty similar, 20-18 for the Spartans, but the big difference was points off of turnovers, 14 for the Spartans, 6 for the Illini. And I really think that we've talked about this a lot to the point where people are tired about it, but I almost think the turnovers, Ked, are just as disruptive, if not even more disruptive than some of the bad shots.
They are, and because there was a time when there was a stretch where KJ turned it over. I think it was KJ, I believe, somebody threw a bad pass to Morez, and he couldn't have got it. I mean, I don't care.
In the corner, yeah.
And then I believe Will Riley went to the basket, and they cut him off on the baseline. He was trying to throw to the opposite baseline, and Jake Davis couldn't grab it. Those are 2 turnovers that when Michigan State was making a run, you can't do that. You're just not. You just can't. So right now, limit the turnovers. And I know they can do that because they did that against UCLA in the first half. I think they had 9. They only finished up with 13 or 14. And I know those things are going to be talked about at halftime. But making an adjustment right now, Kohler is my number one thing. And then I'm getting him out of the game. I'm going to make sure that he's being attacked, because right now he has 0 fouls. And so, you know what? Attack him, put him in foul trouble, and whoever it is, whether it's Visich or Morez, you got to make him think about making guarding, because right now he's having a field day against Illinois. And he's making threes. He's 2 for 3 from 3, which he's not a great 3-point shooter. Michigan State isn't. I tweeted I think they're 2 or 3 up from the teams from the bottom. They're like 340-something in 3-point shooting. Tonight they're 3 for 7.
Yeah, I think overall they're 3 for 7 tonight. If I'm a Michigan State fan, I'm excited because they're down by 4 points on the road, and Akins hasn't scored yet. So I would feel good about that. Illinois needs to stop Kohler. I think Richardson's he's a heck of an athlete, and Carr's a heck of an athlete, and those guys. You can't give them runs to the rim, which is what they were. Particularly Carr was getting 15 feet before anybody had any contact with him, and you can't do that in the Big Ten, especially to an athlete like that.
No, and right now I know because Kohler's 2 for 3, I still may try the zone. They're just getting to the basket at will. And if you could get a 10 or 12 point lead, this is what I would do. I would try the zone. I wouldn't do it right now coming out of the half because you're only up 4 points, whatever the case may be. I wouldn't do that. But coming out, if you get an 8 or 9 point lead, make them prove they can shoot it, because all they're going to do is come up the free throw line, curl cut, and shoot 10 or 15-foot shots. The analytics are what they are. Again, I'm not a fan of it, but at the end of the day, they're still scoring. You got to keep them out then, because if you go to a zone, it's going to make them think a little bit, hey, because we can't shoot it well enough. But if they knock down a couple, then you go back to your man. There's nothing wrong with trying it.
Yep. Well, folks, they are just about ready to start up the second half here. Illinois was at a 1.242 points per possession. We'll see if they can keep that up. We will be back 20 minutes after the game is over. 20 minutes after the game is over. On the Illini Live with Ked, myself, and Brad Sturdy. We will see you at the end. And until then, folks, go Illini.